doing the dishes.
I did my Earl.
Thank you for joining us for Bedtime Stories tonight. I am Sid Rose and my lovely
I am Red.
In case you didn't know, we have two really special guests with us here today. I'm super excited to have these brothers here because I know that they are like dear to my heart, but aside from that, they're also like members of the Shenanigans crew. So please welcome Mr. Bobby Morales and Mr. V.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, please, please. Hold the applause, please.
I can't hear
All right,
all of this.
I'm going to mute myself because I'm having an issue with my page and you guys can continue.
So let's start with, I guess, Mr. V. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, why you think that we would ask someone like you to join us and tell us some stories, and then we'll get right into it.
Well, my name is Mr. V. For those of you who don't know, I think the people on Instagram do know me because I don't owe nobody money. So the reason why you guys asked me to do this is because I got a hell of a lot of stories to tell. Some of them you probably never even heard before, and some of them that you probably will know about, but just didn't know what happened afterwards. So it's going to be a very interesting night for you guys on the East Coast because it's still 7 o'clock right here on the West Coast. And I would be watching Jeopardy at this point, but I had to show love to my family right now. I'll be watching old shows. You know, when you get old, you start watching them old shows, you know?
DVR.
So why don't you tell us one of those infamous stories? What was the question that I always like to start with or to ask is like, why this scene? How did this become a part of your life?
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't even expecting that. That's actually a great question.
Right at the beginning.
Wow, why this scene? I don't know. You know, I remember I first discovered house at the World. You guys probably remember the World on 2nd Street between C and B on the Lower East Side. And I lived on Avenue D, so I was a block away. And I remember my aunt getting me into that club. I remember going to the Gap to buy this green shirt that had flowers on it. I kid you not. And this is a true story. And I took my mom's pencil liner and I dabbed it on my face to give myself a little like a beard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You see how the way it looks now, this is natural? I did it that much just to try to make myself look older. And I'm not even kidding. That is a true story. And it's funny because my Aunt Brownie, who was head of the female security, she saw me and immediately started laughing because she was like, yo, you're a clown. I can easily tell you're young. And what the hell did you do to your face? It looks obvious that you're not grown. And she was like, you know what? I'll let you in, but just don't tell your mother. And she did. She let me in, and it was the first time I got to witness house music. But it wasn't a soulful crowd. This was a hip hop crowd. It was hip hop with house music. I don't know who was DJing on that night, but I could tell you the music that was played. It went from Audio 2, Top Billin' to Soho hot music, like throughout a night. Like the DJ just played everything. So it didn't hit me about joining and loving the deep house scene until I got to Underground Network at Sound Factory Bar. That Wednesday night is what sealed what I really liked about house music, period. It was just the vibe in that room, just the feeling. It went beyond Louis for me. I mean, Louis was a king during that time, and he was just playing records I never heard before. But it was just something about that night, that day, just that whole setup, the whole crew, Barbara, Don, you know, just the feeling of soul in that room was just really, for me, it was intense, and that's what set it off. that right there. That's when I first got to see house dancers, real house dancers, not, you know, club kids who had those steel toe boots and just all that. I saw real straight up house dancers. I got to see, you know, I got to meet Shan S. I met Robbie before he had that, you know, that whole crip walk, you know what I mean? When he was walking like a gentleman, you know, now he's got that crip walk, you know, so he's got that, you know, so that was when I first met him. I met Frankie Feliciano. I remember meeting him there. I remember meeting DJ Sneak when he was on mushrooms. In that time. He was doing mushrooms at that time. Damn, I met so many great people, man. Like ridiculous. Lucho. I met Lucho at that time. So, you know, that was it. That was it for me, man. That was when I first got into this whole deep house thing. That was what set it off.
Okay. Bobby Morales.
Yes, Colin.
What you doing over there?
Me waiting on y'all.
Bobby, how many awards do you have for hustling?
Oh.
And to be clear, people, we mean dancing.
No. The last, well, I could tell you the last one that I won was when I was DJing the New York Hustle Congress here in the city. And they needed one more person for the pro Jack and Jill division. Well, these are the pros, okay? And they needed a guy. So everybody said, Bobby, you joining? I'm DJing. So I'm like, all right, Nelson, take over. And I grabbed one of the girls and we came in second, which is actually quite embarrassing for the professionals that do this shit for a living. And I just came in with what I always do, bang, 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 bang. And then they said, and in second place, $500, Bobby and Beth. And I went, $500? You wouldn't have gotten an argument from me about Jordan if I wouldn't know what the prize money was. But that was fabulous. And like all of the dancing before was really a lot of exhibitional. And then finally somebody one day said, you know what, man, can you teach me a few of your moves? And it was an 80-year-old guy that I used to love, this guy named Frank. He looked like Mr. Clean. He had the bald head and he was buff. But he had so much life and so much energy. So I would grab him at one of the hustle socials and take him to a side room and show him some of my signature turns. And then what happened was the guys in the main room got hip to it. And whenever they saw me and Frank disappear, they started following us into that room. And it's like, Bobby, can you show me? I'm like, sure, man. I'm not a professional instructor, but I was dating a professional instructor at the time. And she caught me. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm just teaching them a move or two. She goes, you're not giving that shit away for free anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, because she was a professional salsa instructor, incredible dancer. This girl named Jamie Josephson. She had her salsa instructional videos in the Avon catalog. That's how big it is. Okay,
That's huge.
Damn, I haven't heard Avon in a
That's
minute.
huge, right?
That's huge.
Yeah. So
I hate Avon too, man.
She yes, but yeah. My mom, all the women used Avon back then.
Yeah, they gave my mom back credit and everything, bro. Oh.
Yeah, man, it was the catalog. That was before a woman could get a credit card. That's how bad it was back then. But she goes, you're not giving it away anymore because this Friday, my videographer is coming from Denver because I have to do 2 new salsa videos for Avon, and we're going to do a hustle video with your moves. And I'm like, okay. But I've been around instructors long enough to know that every move has a name. Every turn has a name. So I'm like, I could do them, but I don't know the names of them. So we had my boy Artie Phillips, God rest his soul, come Thursday night. And he goes, okay, Bobby, just dance. That's an inside rap. That's a shadow. That's a this, that's a that. And I had 24 hours to come up with 7 combinations, 7 of about 25 seconds each, with at least 5 to 8 turns in each one. And also remember the names of the turns and narrate and Well, the video, you can find it on YouTube. It's called Cool Moves Revealed New York Hustle, and it's with me and Jamie, and it was a lot of fun. It's still the #1 selling hustle video of all time because it wasn't and 1, 2, 3. You know, basic. You had to know how to dance, and I was teaching you turns. And there's bloopers in it too, and the bloopers will crack you up if you saw them.
And that, Bobby Morales, is why we asked you to be here this
I
evening.
know.
For sure, because now I'm gonna go watch this video, and for
Yeah,
anybody
I want everybody to
you
it.
better go back to the YouTube channel and watch the archive.
You know, we made that video in 2001. Think about that. It's
Wow.
already 19 years old, man. And it was a lot of fun. And we looked really cute together. And yeah, man.
Was that before or after 9/11?
Huh?
Was that before or after 9/11 in 2000?
I dated Jamie after 9/11. Because I remember when 9/11 happened, all the gigs dried up. I'm sure it happened to you too.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew when to start partying. I used to play with Nino Torri at Windows of the World.
Wow.
Our Friday night party was in the World Trade Center. We were there the Friday before, and we were supposed to have Lolita Holiday the Friday after 9/11. And so, So all of a sudden, it's like I wanted to stop picking up the phone because every call that I picked up was another cancellation. So eventually, I ended up doing real estate at the end of the year, and it was the next spring that I got reacquainted with Jamie when I played in Miami for the International Hustle and Salsa competition, and found out that she moved back to New York City, and the rest was a nice little 4-year love affair. I got engaged. The one time I got engaged, but what can I say? I couldn't give her a house and a white picket fence fast enough, so it was time to go.
All right. Mr. V, I have a question for you.
Yo.
Dance Baby, were you surprised at the popularity of the song when it came out?
Hell yeah, I'm still surprised at it right now. You know, I didn't think, you know, it's funny, as many times people tell me they love that record, when I gave it to Louis, it wasn't even finished. That was the demo that I gave to Louis. And that demo, that demo to that record was actually supposed to go to Frankie Feliciano. And that record was supposed to go to him because I remember I was in a tug of war between Louis and Frankie because I was giving them both demos. I was already lining things up. Let me just rewind a little bit and kind of give you a perspective of how all this came about. So around 2000, the year 2000, I think it's 99, I leave Masters at Work, the record label, right? I decide to step down and leave and decide to go into marketing, this marketing company called Foot, Cone and Belden, FCB on 34th Street. This guy named Brian Rivera, who was Masters at Work's graphic designer for their records and all their artwork. He offered me a job there to work in a it's like a Photoshop studio, right? Where they teach you how to do Photoshop and stuff. Put it like this, I was supposed to have a bachelor's degree in order to get the job, but Brian hooked me up and he was like, you know what, got 401k, you got full health, everything. So I decided to go there because I knew being at Masters at Work for the 5 years that I got, I just wasn't getting that and I kind of needed it. So I left and I started working there for maybe like the first 3 years working there. I was getting bored. So I kind of wasn't really into my job because it felt like a job. And I knew that I wanted to pursue music a lot more. So what I did was I just decided to keep staring at my 401k to see how much it was accumulating. And I waited till it hit like almost 10K, almost maybe 7 to 10K. And I looked at all the equipment I needed to get started in the business, right? So me and Alex Alvarez were doing Soul Channel at Avenue A every Saturday, and we talked every week. And he was still working at Master Work Studio, aka Bass Hit, on 23rd Street and 6th. And he was interning there, and he was just giving me some stories, which I could tell you one right now real quick. I'll give you a flash story because it falls in between it, and it's hilarious. He told me one time that he was interning for Kenny at Masters of Work Studios, and I guess one of Kenny's peoples, I guess it was Roughneck Soldiers, RNS, his hip hop group, they wanted cookies. They wanted milk and cookies, but the cookies had to come from, what's that famous cookie thing we always see in a mall in New York? Something cookies, huh?
Not Famous Amos.
No, not Famous Amos. I know what he's
It's not Famous Amos. No,
I can't remember the name of it.
It's a female cookie.
Yeah.
Mrs. Fields.
Yes, Mrs. Fields, right? So the hip hop guys are like, yo, we want
Mrs. A couple of malls.
Right. So the hip hop guys are like, yo, we want Mrs. Fields cookies. So Alex was like, you know, he's the intern. When you're an intern, you got to do, they straight P. Diddy you, like hardcore.
I remember that.
Right. So Alex says, okay, I could go to 34th Street, but they were like, nah, that's closing in 10 minutes. You're not going to make it. The only one that's left is the one on 105th.
Well,
so true to facts, Kenny gives him money. He's like, yo, here's the money. You got to go to 105th Street. Go get this amount of cookies and come back with it. And he had to go get milk. So anyway, he comes back with all the stuff, and it turns out that by the time he got back, they left.
Damn.
They didn't even use it.
Was
So
it
he
milk from a pregnant Cambodian woman?
Pretty much, he couldn't even do nothing. They left, and that was it. So, speaking of him, he was working on an Arnold Jarvis record on his MPC 2000 XL. Right? It was a drum machine, and I remember going to visit him after work. I left work early from Foot Cone and Belding. I took the train 2 stops, and I got off on 23rd, and I went to Bass Hit Studios. So we started talking, and I started seeing him working on this record just on that one machine. I was just fucking blown away, man. So I was like, you know what? I pulled the trigger. I went to work, and I knew that I couldn't get my 401k if I quit. So I had to get fired. But I was thinking of ways of how not to get fired without trying to lose, you know, people who could vouch for you if you needed to get a job again. So I had to kind of dance with that shit. But I wound up hitting people's nerves anyway. So what I did was I just would say I'm working, but then I wouldn't. I would leave work early. People would give me assigned jobs, and I would do a half-ass job, or I wouldn't even do it at all and act like I forgot. So my review came. My review was horrible. I threw a tantrum about it and was just like, oh, man, you guys are fucked up. Put it like this. Everything you saw on Chappelle's show with Pop Copy, the guy with the Puerto Rican thing on his head, that was me. Like, yo, can I help you? Hell yeah, suck toes, you know, and then walk away. You're like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, that was me. Like, yeah, you know, on the phone doing wild shit and doing whatever. So I get fired, right? I get my 401k. I take it out. I got like $8,000 some. First thing I do is just go on eBay. I buy the first drum machine I see, 2000 XL, get shipped to my house. Great, perfect. Run right to Guitar Center, open up a credit card because my credit was pretty good. So I open up a Guitar Center credit card, buy a Roland XV 2020. I call Frank Feliciano. He tells me to get this VS 1880, which is a 16-track digital recorder. I get that. And I get a Roland VX 2020, which is a sound module that gives me all the sounds for keyboards and everything. Just those 4 pieces alone. Literally half my first album, out of the 12 tracks that were on it, 10 of them were done on just those 4 pieces. So I would bother the shit out of Alex. I wouldn't even read the instruction booklet. I made him the instruction booklet, and he fucking hated me for it. Because he was tired of telling me what to do. And we didn't have, remember, YouTube wasn't popping like how the way it is now. You can find anything on YouTube. I mean, literally, look like this. I haven't seen my pinky toenail in a while. And I went on YouTube on how to find your pinky toenail, how to file your shit, and then rediscover and there is a video where you can literally find your pinky toenail and paint it, or actually paint one that looks like one. But we didn't have YouTube at the time. So I decided to fucking, you know, just keep bothering him, and then I just kept pounding away every day until I learned it. And then Just Dance came. Just Dance came from Club Vinyl. That's what Just Dance came from. I remember leaving. I was doing lights at Body and Soul. Coming home, I remember writing about what I saw, you know, and about what people felt like and how they felt like. Because remember, Body and Soul was ill. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Beginning?
It took them, you know, Body and Soul. It took before they got popular. It took about 3 years, 2-3 years before that shit popped off. Yeah, and it was dead in the beginning. It wasn't really as popular in hip hop.
I was there from day one.
Yeah, I was there from day one too. So I remember it was a struggle at first for like at least a good year or two, and then it started coming around. So, anyway, so I wrote about just experiences, about everything I saw on Saturday at Vinyl, on Sunday at Vinyl, and on and off Fridays, and I just wrote about what it felt like to be a dancer, because I just saw, I just saw so many great dancers, man, that even that are gone, like Jesus. I remember seeing Jesus all the time, you know, Marjorie all the time, you know, seeing her all the time, and the way she used to be in them circles and just writing about it. And then I remember I spoke to Frankie Feliciano, and I was like, yo, so I got these tracks, man. And he was like, yo, I need something for my label right now. And I was like, dude, the only thing I got is this track called Deep House Music with me and Alex and Patty, my ex-wife, who's not my ex-wife. So I said, look, you know, I could give you this, but I got this other one called Just Dance. I really think you should wait. He was like, nah, I need it right now. I need something right now because I don't got nothing scheduled. I was like, all right, well, look, then take it. So I give it to him, right? So then Louis finds out, because, you know, Frankie and Feliciano and Louis were close. So then Louis finds out. Louis, like, calls me up. He's like, yo, man, why you gave, like, Frankie the track? I already told you that I liked it, and then you gave it to him. Yo, you fucked up. I thought we were cool. I was like, yo, bro, I got something else. Don't worry. Nah, man. I'm going to call you later. Click, and then hung up. So I'm like, fuck, man, I'm on this dude's bad side. So I'm like, all right. So I go to Alex's house in Queens, because he's living in Queens at the time. So I tell him to mix it for me. You know, he starts mixing it. We put it together, and he's, you know, Alex is bopping his head. And I always know whenever I do something good, when Alex says, yo, let me remix it. That's when I know I got something good. So he already was like, he wanted to do a dub. So then we finished my version. So I said, yo, you think I should send this to Louis as a demo just to see, so he could get off my case? He was like, just send it. Fuck it. What's the worst he's going to say? No, right? We're going to start our own label so we could put it out, but just give it to him so that, you know, you could rectify your situation. I was like, all right. So I give him a call, and he's like, yo, I can't take it right now. You're going to have to give it to me in Miami, because we're heading to Miami. We're like 3 days away from Miami, and you're trying to get me a demo, blah, blah. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I'll give it to you in Miami. So we go to Miami, went to music conference. The night before the Masters at Work party at Opium Gardens, I go to his hotel room at the Casa Grande on Ocean. I go to his room, Anna's there, and like 2 other people are there, and Louis has this little record player, and he has one of the old CDJs, the flop ones. Remember the flop one, the first ones? So he got that. I got the CD demo, right? So I said, yo, here's this demo. It's called Just Dance. And he was like, he looked at me straight up. He was like, yo, this better be good. I was like, look, I don't know if it's good. I just did it, and I know I owed you something. So just listen to it. Let me know what you think. So he closes it. He plays it. He's got headphones on, and he's like that. And Louis does this thing that you literally see in movies with like CEOs and A&Rs. Like, you'll wait there, and you'll be like, okay, you know, you're trying to think if he's liking it. But he's like doing something else. Like, he's looking at other records while he has his headphones on. And I found that to be so fucking rude. I was like, you know, waiting for him to say something, but he's there with his headphones, and he's just like that. And I'm there, and I'm just like, okay, you know, like, okay. So then he takes his headphones off, and he looks at me, and he goes, I'm going to play it tomorrow, and it better be good. And I was like, dude, it's a demo. What do you mean? He was like, no. He was like, no. I'm going to try this tomorrow, and we're going to see if it's really good. I was like, Louis, it's a demo. It's for you to just check out. He was like, no, don't worry about it. We're going to see. I was like, it's not even finished yet. I didn't even add hi-hats tonight. He was like, no. It's finished. Why would you give me a demo that's not finished? I was like, because it's a demo. I thought that's what the definition of a demo was. He was like, no, Victor, demo is when you've completed something and you're trying to sell it to me. He was like, if you're not finished, then you should have told me. But this sounds finished. And I was like, all right. So we go. Next day, we do the Masters at Work party. And I remember this well because you can ask Lucho. I'm at the door with God Rest His Soul with Willie Ninja. Me and him are doing the door. And Willie's talking to me, and Willie's being Willie, you know, such a beautiful soul, man. Hilarious character. You know, I got my hair, whatever, and Willie's telling me he wanted to take clippers and take my hair so he could use it to put on one of his wigs for his shows or whatever, and it was just funny. So then all of a sudden, Doris, who still works with Louis, comes up to me and she comes up and gives me a bottle of water and she says, yo, Louis playing your record. And I like it. And I was like, what record? I was like, Deep House Music, the Frankie one? She was like, no, it's something new that you gave him. I really like it. I was like, he is? I was like, so what's the reaction? She was like, I don't know. He's just playing it though. And it seems like people like it. I was like, all right, cool. So then she comes back in. The party ends. Everybody's asking for their goodie bag. And the first person that comes to me, till this day I remember, is Lucho. Runs up to me, he grabs me by my shirt, and he goes, yo, send me a copy of that fucking record you gave Louis, bro. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, that record that you keep saying Just Dance. He played that shit like 3 times. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, he played it 3 times. And I was like, no way. And then at the end of the night, I go into Opium Garden to collect my pay in an envelope, and he brings me in a DJ booth. And he was like, I told you this demo is finished. You don't have to do anything else. I'm signing it.
Nice.
Tomorrow we'll talk, and then on Monday, Ralph's gonna send you the contract, and then we're good to go. And then that was the story of Just Dance. And then from there,
that was a story.
It fucking became a big deal. And mind you, he did that shit. Daft Punk was there. They weren't dressed, but both the guys were there. A bunch of people were there. That it was like a whole industry thing. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people were there.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So it was surreal, and it's still surreal how that record still takes off. And I give all credit to every single dancer out there. That's why I feel like I need to always give back to that culture, you know, of our house dancers, because we just need that. You know, without that, I don't think we would be where we would be if we didn't have that energy in the club. You know, I call them icebreakers, man. When people are hugging against the wall, you don't have to rely on that when it comes to being at home. That's the one thing I love about New York, you know, and you know, we didn't have a lot of wall huggers. That's the one thing I love about New York. We have strange people, but they keep it funky.
Well, wait. On that note, I don't mean to cut you off, but we have another guest. And on that note, strange people, I'll just take that as an open door to get Bobby Morales. Tell us about some strange people you've seen at the disco. Tell us something, Bobby Morales. Give us a bedtime story.
I just want to say that was a great story, V. That was a great story.
Thank you.
Wow. When it all started, it was all so new. So there was no template. When it came to the music, the hustle was taking off. We were up rocking before that. Just remember what we were wearing: polyester, nylon shirts, platforms, Playboys, marshmallows, you know, Apple Jacks. It was like we were real, like we had an urban look, which was fly. Until you got out of the hood, and then we started going to the discos in Midtown and downtown. Because until then, it was all, you were going to the different neighborhoods. Washington Heights had its crew, the South Bronx, the Barrio, the Lower East Side, Bushwick. And everybody was dressing the same. Everybody was dancing the same, you know. But when you started going to the clubs in Midtown and you started, you know, mixing with the other boroughs, is when things started to get a little, I would say, varied. It was, it started to differentiate a little bit. It started to get a little bit more ornate. But when I would say 76, 77, when I first got turned on to Regimes, which was like the one super classy Euro disco. That regime came from France and opened up a disco around the corner from the original Copacabana. And that was, yeah, like 76, 77. Then you had Disco Sally, who was a 70-year-old lady that opened up a disco in the Sheraton Hotel on 7th Avenue and like 50. A 70-year-old lady? 70-year-old, yeah. But she opened the club. And she still had a club going till about 90 when I moved back from Connecticut. She just hung in there, and she was her own little celebrity within the disco scene. Then you had Gypsy, who was at Starship. She was and I mean, you know, she was the hostess of Starship. And understand, we were urban neighborhood hetero male, you know, dancers that were going out there to dance and meet women
In polyester.
yeah, and polyester. And you get too close to the light, you burst into flames. But I was one of the first that, because of the music, ventured into the more downtown and first ones to go into the gay clubs, because everybody would say, Bobby, the best music's in the gay clubs. The best music's in the gay clubs. And I went to the original Reflections. No, the original Limelight down on 7th Avenue, right around where the garage was. Then there was a sister club that was actually a little straighter called Gabriel's. Then I remember the first time I went to the garage, I was a senior in high school, and one of my friends came to school on Monday and his eyes were this big. And all he said was, Bobby, I went to this club. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. The sound system. Yeah. The DJ. Yeah. Where is it? All the way downtown on King Street. But it's a gay club. I said, so when are we going? And we walked in arm in arm into the garage the first time. Now, one of the things that I never had a problem with was telling a gay guy I was straight. Because as a good-looking guy, you're going to get hit on. And you just go, sorry, papi, I'm straight. Now, if you want to chill, talk, blah, 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 whatever, that's cool. And I ended up making so many gay friends by that. And I could walk into these clubs and I could say hi to the guys. And at one point around 75, 76 is when the gay guys from the Bronx started following Hustling. And they were better than 90% of the girls. So I didn't have a problem with dancing with the gay guys. And some of them, I used to dance with Willie Ninja when I used to go to Sound Factory Bar, with Cedric, with Antonio. Oh my God. Victor Rosado was one of them. David Padilla was one of them. Oh man. And I tell you right now, I never had that was my thing. I wanted to dance with the best dancers, always. And that part of the scene for me was so cool. And then I had a friend of mine, Jimmy, who had his own leather clothing store on 60th Street, down the block from Bloomingdale's. You know that one strip where all like the high-end stores are between 2nd and 3rd? He had a leather store. And I happened to be in the neighborhood one day, and I walked in, and Bobby, he introduces me to his all-female staff. And the next thing you know, when are we going out? Jimmy used to call me when him and the girls would go out, and I slept with every one of those girls. Because it was, okay, which one of you are going to do Bobby tonight? And my friends got hip to it, and they started calling me, yo, man, where you going tonight? Nah,
You can, all of them.
Oh man, but
Wow.
you know what? It really was a part of the whole culture of the crossing over and everything. But There were so many of them that you would bring that up to them, and they would be so macho. I'm like, you're so full of shit, man. You know, I couldn't stand that. So that at a young, the couple of times that I went to the loft and to the garage when I moved to Connecticut, I had to tell my friends that I wasn't coming down because they would automatically go, yo, man, we're going to Copa, we're going to go pick up some babes. And I'd go, no, I'm not coming down this weekend. And I would sneak into the city, stay at my mom's, and then go to the other clubs. Like, I needed that. I needed that change of flavor, you know? Yeah. Those were beautiful times. I love the crossing of the cultures. You needed it because they were the best dancers, some of the best music was in those clubs, and you could see the freeness of it and the common thread. And everybody talks about the garage. That common thread didn't matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, female, male, Chino, whatever. The music was that common thread, and everybody was on that same plane the minute you walked in the door. There's nothing better than that.
Wonderful.
Both of you. For both of you, just really quickly, what I know you've both played and been in many sound systems and like these dream setups and all of this stuff. Which was your best experience?
Well, he's probably done more than that. Yeah.
Which was your best and which was your worst? Real quick.
You want to laugh? One of my favorite for the size was the original Copacabana downstairs. They had all Macintosh amps, and the sound for that space was crazy, crazy. And the worst?
Yeah, I don't even think I've ever.
I don't want to think about that. There's too many of them. There's too many of them. You walked in and you went, huh? 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 By the way, that speaker ain't working. That speaker ain't working. The electric went out here. There's only one turntable and it's going backwards.
Damn,
All right, what about you, V?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of worst sound system. Damn, I can't even think. I know all the good sound systems I played on.
What was the best one?
The best one I think had to be at Ministry of Sound in London.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah, they said that was the garage system installed in there. Yeah, and when I played on there, like, I was hearing shit in records I didn't even know was in it.
Isn't that best? That's when you know you got a sound system, because I still remember to this day the first gig that my boy Daniel did with his Voice of the Theater speakers and phase linear amplifiers. And to this day, on Sec Machine, Give It Up, Turn It Loose, I never heard the Hammond organ the way I heard the Hammond organ that day.
Yeah, crazy, man. I mean, I don't know of a bad sound system. Maybe at 85A, where I first started.
I know for sure.
You know, we had DPL speakers and they were farting all over the place when we hit the bass too hard.
It was a bad
sound. I mean, that's probably it.
What was the biggest gig you did as far as like attendance wise?
Biggest gig I've ever played, honestly, two of them. And I'm gonna say one was South Korea. When I played South Korea, and I didn't know a single person in there except me, my boy, and the promoter.
Right.
And that was probably the biggest one. That was close to 6,000 Asian people that never knew. I didn't even think they knew who I was. I think they probably thought I was Todd Terry or something at that point. I don't know what they thought.
You're the second blackest person in Korea.
Yeah, and they were dancing, like everyone was dancing, but they were like stiff dancing, like they weren't even reacting to anything I was doing. So I didn't care. And then the other big one was in Johannesburg, with my first South African Music Conference in 06, when I played. Actually, no, the year afterwards, when the Busta Rhymes story, which I'm going to tell you guys about, and that was in Johannesburg, and I played there, and it was. I couldn't even see the people, man. And it took for the light guy to just put like this white light around. And I just saw a sea of heads. And it turned out to be like 6,000-7,000 people.
Nice.
And I was the headliner, not Busta Rhymes.
All right, we're coming back to Busta Rhymes, but I have two questions, one for each of you. Tara would like to know, this question is for you, Bobby.
Okay.
Bobby, I need the short answer to this because I know that you could make this into a whole lesson. What she asked was, when you were talking about the dancing, what was the difference between rocking and disco dancing?
Rocking was face-to-face, one-on-one, individual interpretive dance. That's how I used to call it.
Interpretive. What a
Yeah,
word.
because we knew every nuance of the song, and like in Section Shit, baby, dry my eye. Yeah, and hustle dancing is couple dancing, basically.
Well, she was asking about disco dancing, but I got it. I got it. We got it.
We never had a dance called disco. See, Lincoln Center tried doing that to me because we started. It's a hustle night because the nights are based on a dance.
Right.
So, and they said, they wanted to advertise it as disco. I said, no, the dance is called the hustle. We went to the disco to dance the hustle.
The disco is the place.
Right. There was never a dance called the disco.
There was not a dance called the disco. There's a music called the disco.
Right. And then there's a place called the disco.
Right.
There's a place called the disco.
But the dance was called the hustle.
Got it.
New York City.
Okay,
All
so
right.
disco's a noun and hustle is a verb.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's a noun too because you're describing a dance. Or no, not an adjective. It's a noun.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So V, the question for you comes from C. Bochi.
Sup, COG?
Wants to know what you miss the most about New York.
Like I said, my friends, I miss being at Union Square, like at 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning, where the weirdos are out or just people just hanging, painting on the floor. I miss to be honest, I kind of miss that late 90s, early 2000s New York, where we still have Virgin Megastore, we still had places like that where, like, I wish those things didn't go away. Like, it felt good to look for CDs, but also to look for movies too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, just look around and, like, that shit had a movie theater in it. I miss doing dumb shit like that. And I don't even want to say that's dumb, but I miss going into like a Nobody Beats the Wiz or like a Circuit City or like a Best Buy and trying to find something, and then you hop next door and you're at a giant radio shop. I think that's what I miss about the city. I kind of do miss obviously going out, but I miss the summers of New York. I miss being at Lebanon, that rooftop. I miss a lot. I miss just chilling and seeing people. I miss Funk Box. I miss walking in there and seeing people just still growing, and just missing the city,
We miss you too.
Yes, we did. And the city misses you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I want you to both we have like a few minutes left and we can do some bonus stuff if we get kicked off of Instagram, but I do want to just give you a chance to tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now. Like, is there some place or something that you want to let people know to come catch you, or,
What? This is what's happening.
Right here.
This is it.
Actually, we had a wonderful party going with my lovely friend and partner Red at Taj on Tuesdays once a month, and that was so much fun. And it was really starting to develop its own like brand. And the last
Salsa disco dance.
Salsa and disco one.
what was it called? It was called
Hustle Salsa disco dance. We put all those words in there.
That's right. And as a matter of fact, my last paying gig was at Taj on March the 10th.
Faithful days.
But me and Tone are back on the air again. We started up 3 weeks ago, the Thursday night Harlem Soul Classics. We're starting at 8 o'clock on Twitch and Facebook Live. And it's just straight, deep, obscure, really good club music from back in the day that so much of it is forgotten, but I haven't forgotten it because I was there. And I'm lucky enough to have the catalog to resurrect those songs for the people who were there or turn people on to some disco songs that they never heard before. So we're on from 8 to roughly 1 o'clock in the morning every Thursday. The Twitch feed is uninterrupted, so just got to go to twitch.tv/Tone Lover, and we're good to go.
Say that again. Say it again.
It's twitch.tv /Tone Lover, LUVA.
Tone
Lover.
Lover.
TONE Lover, LUVA. Bobby, if you need to make a couple of extra bucks, maybe you could sell some of those videos where you're teaching us how to hustle. I'm just saying.
You know what? I still
go ahead and throw that up online and see.
I still actually have a copy of VHS. We did that in 2001. Oh my God! But you can go to YouTube and you can find it. Just look for it.
Say what it is.
And the name was called Cool Moves Revealed. Because they were my moves.
A bunch of porn is gonna come up when you put that in.
It is. It's all my moves. Jamie just did a wonderful job of putting the video together and being my partner, breaking down the women's part. But it was my turns, and I had to break down with the names. Oh my God, the bloopers is hysterical. I'm
gonna watch it for sure.
Yeah, the bloopers are hysterical because I actually fucked up every time we started. Okay, here's combination number 2 with music. And I forgot what I'm gonna do. Here's number 3, and with music. And I forgot what I'm supposed to do. It happened 7 times. I fucked up the very first time that the music hit, it like froze my brain. But it's really good. And the funniest shit about it is it created a language. And I'm like, what, like somebody comes up and goes, "Oh, Bobby, I love your video, but I just want to tell you one thing. It's not that easy, and it's not that simple." I go, "What do you mean?" Because every time you finish one of the copies, you go, "It's that easy." It's simple. By the way, it's not that easy and it's not that simple. And then the other thing is, Bobby, on combination number 2, when you go from the sliding door to the inside wrap, do you do a double turn inside? I'm like, I just learned the terminology of this shit, and they're talking to me like I'm supposed to remember the sequences. We did good. Every time we got a check, we went out to eat lobster. That's all I remember.
Look, before our time runs out, well, it'll run out on the Instagram, but nothing's going to stop us from being together here.
You want to reset it?
If we get cut off, we're not coming back, but you'll catch the bonus conversation that continues when we do get cut off, when we upload the YouTube. So join our YouTube channel.
Yes,
Mr. V, what are you working on? Mr. V, what's coming up for you?
I know he's
going down.
Oh, I got geez, there's a lot. Obviously, I do my shows every other Saturday on Instagram. On my Instagram, SNLS, which is Saturday Night Live.
Fun there.
Yeah, so I have fun. I act retarded and stupid and give people a performance. I do my Twitch every other week. On Fridays, I do Soul Channel Cafe, 2 hours of today and yesterday's house music. And then Saturday, I'm starting to put in guest DJs along with me for Bring Down the Walls, which is a party that I started here in the Bay Area. No relation to Trump's wall, but it was called Bring Down the Walls. And it's just, it's a party that focuses more on today's house and tech house. So that's it. And then a bunch of music I'm doing with a bunch of different producers and stuff like that. So I'm about to join a management company right now too, BlackRock. So it looks like I might be doing a lot of writing work for a lot of big artists. Like I'm working right now closely with Art Bat, which is this kind of like techno tech house artist. They've got like 100-something thousand. It's something for the new kids. So, just writing stuff and, picking up my publishing and writers game. So, I can have something to fall back on when I want to. I can just say this
to V.
Yeah.
I love what you've done.
Thank you,
I love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. I've been a fan since Something with Jazz. That's still,
wow.
That's still my fucking record. When the old man comes on, he goes, fuck that, man.
Yeah, Uncle Willie. That's Uncle Willie.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Soulgasm. It reminds me of Slap and Tickle.
Oh my God.
At there. That's where I met Red down at Simpson.
At Simpson.
Leopard Lounge, yeah.
So once this logs off is when we tell the real stories, the real clubland stories of house music is when we're gonna talk.
You can start your story now and it'll get cut off in the middle, and that will make people follow us to our YouTube.
Okay, so
about this night.
all right, so here's one that I know everybody would like, and this is the story of there was a party in New York back in the early 90s to mid 90s called Café con Leche.
Yeah, we know that.
Right. So there was this one particular night where there was a stripper contest. There was male and female, right?
Uh-huh.
And at this particular night, the club was Expo on 43rd Street between Broadway and I forgot. It's a giant club, big, had bleachers and everything, and then had the upstairs where they had Cuffy Cuff play, you know, all these different old school records. But on the main floor is Tribal House and House with Lord G, right?
Right.
So, so this particular night, they had a stripper contest. And there was this one African-American guy, well-built, who had a cowboy hat on chaps, showing his ass cheeks, doing whatever he does, right? Then they had this female, great body, Latina, just doing her thing. So they're both dancing or whatever. Crowd is packed. So the host, who was a drag queen by the name of Joey Rolone, kept telling the people who they wanted to choose, who they wanted to win. So for some strange reason, it was a mixed party with gay and straight in it. But a lot of people weren't really going for the girl, obviously, because you know the history of Café con Leche was always a gay party. But they were going a lot for the black stripper, right? So they give him his extra 20-minute window, and there's a woman in the front of the stage, like literally. This is the stage right here. This is her staring upward while he's dancing, right? And he has like a thong on. It's clear you can see it because he's got chaps.
Yeah.
So he's doing what he's doing. Yes. You see what Red's doing? You see exactly what she's doing? The way Red was bouncing. It was. This is what was happening to her, straight up. Like right here, look.
Yeah. Like that. He even brought a banana for the story.
Right? So she's being pounded on in front of everyone. Like everyone is watching. And I'm just there like, yo. So the security guard, the security guards are not breaking anything up. Security's not even going on stage because the crowd is losing it. Like this lady just loses her mind. So the dancer out of nowhere takes his cowboy hat off, puts his hat on his thing, and she proceeds to give the guy a blowjob in front of everybody.
Well,
that's when security steps up. That's when security steps up and they say, "Oh, okay, that's enough."
It was like, "Oh, she wanted some leche with her cafe."
That's the second time we spoke about milk tonight. More milk.
She wanted that leche.
Oh man, it was.
Because I know we're gonna get cut off, I would like you to tell us about so what Busta Rhymes did when he was not the headliner.
Hey, I want to know about the Busta Rhymes story.
Well, Tony has this on YouTube when he tells the story to Jazzy Jeff, because I told him back in 2009, I got booked for a gig where Eve and Busta Rhymes were part of this concert, and I was the headlining act, which I found really strange. So I fly out from New York to Johannesburg.
Nice.
I get to the stage, and I'm hearing Busta Rhymes go off. You know, hoo-ha, got you all in check. You know, I could hear it. And I'm backstage, and I'm nervous. My hands are sweaty because I'm like, damn, you know, like what am I gonna do? Like how am I gonna somehow
musically follow that? Yeah.
Play, right, musically follow hip hop to house music right after Busta Rhymes, right? I didn't even get to see Eve, but you know, I heard she performed and it was good. So Busta he's doing his thing. So this South African tech guy calls me over and he says, V, come here. I need you to check your equipment and make sure it sounds good, right? So the crowd, there's really no reaction. They're just watching. You know, you see a couple of flashes here and there of cameras. So I go on the stage, and I plug my headphone into the mixer, and I put my headphones on, and I put a CD in, and I start playing a track. And for some stupid, strange reason, the guy who's lighting Busta Rhymes on stage pans the light on me while I'm doing this on the mixer, and the crowd goes nuts, which leads Busta to turn around and go like, what's going on? So I see he looks at me, and I unplug my headphone and I drop like a midget, like trying to hide away from, you know, being caught, that I was caught doing sound check. So then Busta finishes his show. I get on, the crowd goes crazy. I rock out for like 2 hours. I leave. I go back to the hotel. The next day I head to the airport. Who's at the airport? Busta Rhymes and Split Star. I go to check in. We're on the same flight heading back to New York. Right when I'm at check-in, I'm waiting to get on. I'm right in front of him in first class, and he's just checks in, and he looks around. He sees me, and he goes, yo, come here, yo. And I was like,
hey, yo.
So I was like, what's up, man? I was like, yo, I'm a huge fan of your work. He was like, nah, man. He was like, yo, what was that about yesterday, man? Who are you, man? I was like, dude, I'm just another cat who lives in Brooklyn, takes the bus every morning, man, you know? And he was like, nah, kid. He was like, you know, how is it that everybody out here knows you? I was like, you know, I just play house music and shit. And I was like, you know, Masters at Work? You know that? He was like, yeah, I do, but I never seen you with them. I was like, yeah, well, you know, I used to work for them, you know. And he was like, yeah, all right. Fucked off. Dude, I felt so fucked up, man. Like so fucked up, man. I should have never did that.
Fault, man. It was the light guy fault who kind of like cut that.
Right.
Well, I didn't
going by going like this. It was like, the fuck?
yeah, but the thing is that I didn't even think that I was gonna get that type of reaction. It was real innocent. Like I didn't even think I was gonna get a reaction.
When they went nuts, when they put the light on you and they went nuts cheering for you or angry?
Yeah, because they were waiting for me to get on. Remember, you have to understand, in South Africa, the leading music, even till today, is house music in South Africa. So that's the big leading thing there. That's why, you know, our house music is such a huge thing. So, you know, also what also happened to me too was my then ex-wife, she was with me at the time, and while I was DJing, a girl got up on stage before security yanked her, and she like gave me a handshake, but it was a panty in it. So I threw the panty off, like, yo, I didn't know what that was. Yo, I didn't hear the end of it when we left.
Yo, that's an occupational hazard when they throw their panties on you, bro.
Yeah, but the problem was, Bobby, is that this was her first time coming with me on the road.
Oh, so maybe she thought that that's what was happening when she wasn't on the road.
Oh, this is what happens every time you on the road. Every time.
I'm not editing none of this.
No, babe, that's the first time, I swear. Lie, motherfucker.
Yeah, she was just like, yo, you know.
That's what you were gonna say. The problem was that I almost wiped my mouth with it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, man. It was bad. I could tell you some funny stories. This is a funny one with
I got a stripper story when you're done.
No, go ahead. So start your stripper story.
Oh, there was a club on 48th Street called La Bamba. It used to be called Le Fafar. And it was like one of the last real hustle clubs before the transition of the 80s, because it just faded, more freestyling. So it was Wednesday night was the hot night. So they had this contest every Wednesday called Freak of the Week. And you knew when it was Freak of the Week because there was 2 floors. And we would all be upstairs dancing. As soon as you heard the song La Bamba, boom, 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 and then everybody wanted to see the contest would go downstairs, and then the floor would clear out because it was always too crowded. So I would stay upstairs and dance because they always had this one fat Puerto Rican guy that used to get up on the booth, up on the top with his jeans on, with no underwear on, and he would shake until his pants fell down, right? But then what happened?
It was his signature move.
The girls from Xenon, because the transition was Infinity, which was the first kind of freaky club where the girls would wear transparent dresses, and there was a spot upstairs where you could, do your thing. It was a lot more loose at Infinity. Then Infinity burned down. So then everybody went uptown to Xenon on 43rd Street. So the girls were up there, taking their top off. Then they said, yo, they're having a contest on 48th Street. All you got to do is take your clothes off. So the white girls would go over there, take their clothes off, win the contest, and run back to Xenon. So one night, just like what happened to you, I said, all right, I'll go downstairs and watch. So there's a couple of blanquitas taking their clothes off, the fat Puerto Rican guy taking his pants off. But then there was this one guy who was naked, but he had a little mask on. And he was standing on a speaker. It was like a pedestal, I'd say about 4 feet high. And this woman was there that you could tell her girlfriends brought her from work. and they must have gotten, pretty nice during the evening, right? And all of a sudden, this woman stands next to this guy as he's dancing on the pedestal with his dick hanging out and going like this. Like to her girlfriend, like pointing. And she did that for about 5 minutes. And I went, because we never saw her before. So it was obvious that she wasn't going to come back again. So she got one, she looked left and right and gave it a good touch. She went, ah, and walked out the door. You never saw her again.
She was like, since it's
I never
here,
forget that one.
let me handle that.
I said, look at her. She just kept staring at like, oh my God. Oh my God.
So my takeaway from that whole story was that the guy had on a mask.
Yeah, the dude had a mask on. We didn't know who the dude was. He probably was another one that came from Zena. Because they would just come when it was 3 gorgeous looking white babes and the fat Puerto Rican guy. So obviously he wasn't gonna win. And they get $500 and take off and go back to Xenon and party over there with Tony Smith. Oh my God. Yeah, that was like that's the only stripper club story.
That's the only. I don't believe that.
Well, everything else when I'm behind the stairs and up the stairs over here. And then the box.
Well, I've got a final question for each of you. The short version. Victor, Mr. V, who is the biggest celebrity that you have met in all of this?
Wow. I don't think I've met many. I've met musical heroes, but I don't really think I met celebrity. I would have to say Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was probably the biggest one. When he came to see Louis at Vinyl a few times, like when Louis was doing his Dance Ritual Wednesdays, he would go there a lot. And I was like, holy shit. And he was like, him and Louis would have conversations. I remember meeting Mariah Carey doing lights at Vinyl. She came one time, and she's small as fuck. I didn't think she was that tiny. She's small.
Yo, can I tell y'all something about Wesley Snipes real quick? I'm sorry, I have to tell you. The one thing that I remember of Wesley Snipes is one day we were at a party. Beverly Bond was playing at Joe's Pub. It was me, Ray, Marjorie. All of us were there, like the whole crew. Wesley Snipes shows up. Actually, he showed up with Bev. And at the end of the night, you know how Joe's Pub was like, they had the bar up here, and then there was like the stairs and the stairs, right? So that's right there. There was like double doors that would lead to the back. Wesley Snipes did some shit. Ray did whoosh and pushed Wesley Snipes all the way through the doors. Everybody was like, oh shit, because it was Voodoo Ray and because it was Wesley Snipes.
Oh shit. I thought he was going to turn into Blade. He was going to turn into Blade.
You know what? I have to say that there is one recent celebrity, but this was maybe, I'm going to say 2012, and you could tell this to Danilo. You know TSO NYC. Danilo, you know Danilo, right? The Italian guy who has the sound of NYC, TSO NYC. Anyway, he's the Italian guy. I played at Trump Tower downtown. And you know who can actually say the story? Trey Scapades. Trey, she was there.
Oh, yeah.
So I was playing for this grand opening of this lounge, and it was Danilo who got me into play. So while I'm DJing, this one British black guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, excuse me, mate, you got any Fela Kuti in there?" And I was like, I think I do. That's what you want to hit over right now? Because I'm kind of playing house. He was like, "No, mate, you know, it's all right. Just whenever you get a moment, just trying to see if you got any Fela Kuti, because I got some people here from, you know, the motherland. I just want to see if you could change up the vibes, you know?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So as I'm looking in my laptop, Trey grabs my shirt. He's like,
You know who that
"Oh my
is?
God, do you know who that is?" I was like, "No, who?" He just asked me for a request, and I really don't want to do it, but he said that there's people from here. She was like, "Yo, that's Idris Elba."
I knew you were gonna say that.
I didn't even know who he was. And
Yeah,
I was
he was
just like,
so
whatever, like, all right, cool, I'll play it. Like, who is this guy? So then I play it. He comes up, he goes, "Hey, man, truly, man, you're just awesome. You know, I DJ myself, and I honestly don't have my stuff, but you just made their night tonight. I'm shooting a film that's for Fela Kuti's life and so on and so forth, and I just want to say you did a great job. Thank you so much." And again, boom, he left. 2 days later, I'm watching, what's the movie with the robots he was in? The giant robots.
Transformers?
No, not Transformers. But they're big robots. Anyway, he's in the movie. And I'm like, yo, this fucking guy.
That's the dude that I met.
Yeah, like this guy's in this fucking movie. And it turned out
I heard the dude is real when it comes to like house music, and yeah, he
is.
He's a big house DJ now. Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
He's been in the scene a bit. And,
Well,
you know,
Bobby.
Mine?
Bobby, Bomo, my Bomo.
Well, you know, I was
I want you to answer that question.
You know, like he said, as far as my musical heroes, my God, I was blessed because I did Lincoln Center for 13 years, and I played with 2 artists every year. And the list is ridiculous. Tron Hyper Fair, BT Express, Roy Ayers, Lolita, Karen Young, Linda Clifford, Carol Douglas, etc., etc. But you know, I did 2 movies. I did Carlito.
Oh, that's right. I do know that.
And I did The Cowboy Way. So I got to meet and hang out with Al Pacino, Sean Penn. Me and John Leguizamo became buds. He actually came to my dance, where I used to play a dance sport, and learned how to hustle for Summer of Sam. And then when we did The Cowboy Way, Keith Sutherland was an asshole, but Woody Harrelson was magic. So those are like the most famous people.
Okay, I like.
Nice.
Well, Mr. V, on your story about the, it slipped my mind what I was about to say. It was a story within a story. It'll come back to me.
I got a whole bunch of stories in the story. I can tell you, there was one time I was doing lights at Vinyl, and Louis just got back from Japan, and Frankie opened up for him, and this was probably like approaching 3 in the morning. I get a beep from Ralphie Boy telling me to go to the side door to open the back door of Vinyl. I go to the back door. Louis sleeping in his purple Mercedes-Benz, and Ralphie's his purple BMW, and Ralphie's taking out his crates of records, right? So Ralph says, "Yo, he just got back from Japan. He's tired. Do me a favor. Go to the bar and tell Luis to give you a coffee, and go to the booth and just start setting up his records, because I'm trying to let him sleep as much as possible because he's dead tired." I was like, "Yo, you guys just came from the airport?" And Ralph looks at me and he was like, "Yo, look in my eyes, motherfucker." So he gets real close and he was like, "We haven't really slept at all."
Yeah.
And the killer part is, Vic, I was in economy and he was in first class and he didn't sleep. And I was like, okay, all right, whatever. So I go in, I set him up. Ralph wakes up Louis. Louis gets up. "Yo, what's up, man?" You know, he takes the coffee, he starts drinking coffee. He goes in the booth, says what's up to Frankie. He begins to play. 2 hours in, he's rocking the crowd. We approach the 5 o'clock mark. He starts playing disco records. Records are playing, blah, blah, blah. You know, Louis, he's got his lollipop headphone. He's tilted like this. He's got two records going. He's got a third going. He's adding effects here. He's mixing there. And I'm doing lights, and I noticed that he keeps playing this long-ass disco record, and it just felt like forever. So I look over to see, like, if he's all right. Like, you know, maybe I should get him another coffee. And this motherfucker is sleeping. Red, I'm not even kidding you. He's sleeping, right, like this, and his finger is doing this on the pitch.
Huh.
To slow it down, to extend it.
Yo, just mixing, because he had 2 records going.
Yeah.
But he was falling out. So then I'm just staring at him like in shock. Like, I can't believe I'm seeing this man sleeping and mixing.
Still mixing.
So the other record runs
Right.
out. Right. So the only reason why he wakes up is because the other record runs out. And then when it happens, he looks at me and he goes, yo, I'm tired. I was like, yeah, you got like about 3 more hours to go. Like, you sure you're going to pull this off? And he was like, I don't know. I think you should call Frankie to tell him to come back. And I was like, man, you're crazy. Like, the one thing I will say always about Louis, man, I don't know what battery that man has, but the amount of work and time, dedication that man has put into this, into his, not just his music, but into this industry.
Yep, I agree.
I cannot even explain. Like, I honestly, the amount of time and the toll on a human body it can take, the way that man moves, God bless him. I don't know what he does. Like, he has an organic passion that I've never seen anybody have for this type of music than I see with him. And that's one thing I will always give him. His dedication to this thing is just unreal. It's like unreal, man. Like unreal. Like
I agree 100%.
You know, that guy DJs on 2-3 hours sleep, man. I can't even do that, bro. Like, that's just crazy. It's crazy. Like, I don't even know what his regimen really is, you know, in terms of preparing your body for the amount of work he does, man.
Yeah, I think the word you used was the right description, organic. Because if it was forced, if it was just a job, he wouldn't allow the overlap. He would say stop. But when you know that you've got commitments and that, you know, your energy is the music. You know, I could be super tired, I could be super out of it, whatever the case may be. By the second song I play, I'm alive and I'm 100% and I'm already in there. Prior to, I may be going, fuck, why am I doing this gig? Da, da, da. Second song, all that shit is forgotten and I could play till the sun comes up. And yeah, I understand it.
It's about passion, I think, when it comes to
I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a love.
That's something that, like, you know, not everybody has. But when you have that and you have talent on top of it and you produce all these wonderful things, it's just like, you know, kudos to all those creators that can do it.
Yeah, I have a real deep passion for the root of the music. See, I've been a house head since day one, but it turns out that when I moved back to Connecticut and I thought I was gonna be like so into the new house music, because I was at the time. I couldn't wait to get back to the city. And all of a sudden I get reintroduced to the hustle crowd and the whole wave of nostalgia and seeing old friends and everything and hearing the music, and I still had it, made me want to give them another option besides the 2 or 3 DJs that were out there that were okay. You know, I said, no. I'm gonna bring it back to you and I'm gonna bring it back right. And within a year, I'm playing in front of 3,500 people at Lincoln Center. And the rest was motion picture history after that shit. It was crazy. Crazy the way that shit took. But and just like anything, after about, let's see, 91 to about 2006 or 15 years, doing every major dance event, Lincoln Center, everything that under the sun. All of a sudden, I'm too expensive. I'm too this. I'm too opinionated. And I'm like, oh really? Worked pretty good for you to get to where you've gotten, and all of a sudden now you want to treat me like an employee as opposed to somebody who will help carry you along the way. And that's when I said, you know what? I have a deep passion for house music. I want to start playing some house. And that's when I went out to Queens and I met Mickey and Rich Hernandez and Carlito and everybody. And they're the ones that talked me into going down to the Lower East Side and going to Sinson. And that's when I started.
Sinson.
That's right, baby. That's when
Wow.
we became part of the family on the Lower East Side. And then I got to show my house chops. You know?
Is that place still around?
No, they turned it into a Bear Burger.
Yeah, and organic.
Both stores, and then the Bear Burger closed.
That's right.
The last time I checked, it was nothing.
It was closed.
Nothing. Yeah.
The only thing that's still down there, one-on-one is still down there.
That's right. Calm everybody's nerves with that sweet, sweet dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my Karen.
Yeah. One-on-one is still down there, and I know Angel Rivera, and I don't know if we can get anything going in the house down there, but he is managing the place. You've got the old Sapphire, was it?
It's called now.
This Sapphire, I mean, none of those, you know, Bobby would be like, because Sinson, they let us act out. That was one of the last places they let us act the fool literally behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
We acted out.
That was
one of the last places that's ever, you know.
Ooh, man, that was.
It was so
you
good.
Walked in, everything went, and everything was cool, and nobody acted the fool.
Our Leopard Lounge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful upstairs and downstairs, man. Yeah.
I remember our after hours there when I did after hours.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were doing that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So Red. So since I'm not in New York no more, I mean, what happens to the city now? I mean, now that everything's stopped, like
it's sad.
I don't know.
You like Sin, you know, you guys got Funk Box. Like, how long are you guys gonna wait until Chelsea Music Hall says, hey, you know,
they
like,
have no choice.
What happens from here?
It's not even about Chelsea Musical. It's not their choice right now. It's the city, it's the governor, it's the this, it's the that. But also, a lot of people don't want to go. So
yeah,
it's really hard.
It's gonna be a tough decision.
It's the 12th-year anniversary on Sunday.
Look at that.
In the park in the Lower East Side, where we just got together, and I told Tony, like, don't promote. And I told like 15 people, and he told way more than that. But the fact was that we were outside, right? So because we were outside and we had stuff available, like water to wash your hands and sanitizing wipes, and sanitizer.
Everybody was fast.
People could feel comfortable with being outside and nobody's in a place where they're like, you don't feel comfortable and I want to hug you, I'm going to hug you anyway. No. Nobody does that.
Yeah, because I said for myself, if I go
like, I love you.
That's it. Respect.
Like and
respect from a distance, man. We all want to be here when this shit is over.
I don't want to be anywhere where if I feel the need to back up, there's a wall behind me. If that makes sense. So I want to be able to back up as much as I feel like I want to.
Right. Being outside in that, you know, circumstance, it actually was not bad.
That's cool. That's cool. See, you monitored it right. See, before this weekend at my boy's birthday, and it was only 10 people on Friday of the friends, and we all super close friends. We've known each. The least known friendship was 35 years. So we know we're all doing the right thing. We all trust each other, that kind of a thing, and we still did the right thing. Sunday was 7. Prior to that, the most total amount of people I've been around was 4 in 4 months. That shit was crazy, man.
Wow. 4 months.
I live with my sister, have a dog and cat. Yeah, but still, man, you know.
It's not the same, but we
my
do what we
trips are
gotta do.
my trips are the bodega across the street, Rite Aid 2 blocks away, and the bank on 181st Street. And that's it. You
Same.
know? And it takes a like it really taxes your mental strength to be able to still go about your daily life without movement, without interaction, without being outside, without going places. You know, it's not.
That's the one thing I think about. Like, since I live here now, like that's the one thing I think about all the time. Like, you know, on my laptop, there's always I have a screenshot of Waite Street in Brooklyn where Output used to be.
Okay,
and I remember how
White Street,
yeah. So I remember how busy it was every summer, and I always think about, man, Brooklyn Bowl, you know, and how Output used to be, and then, you know, you had Funk Box every Sunday, and then the city had its own little something, and then I see, because I get some of the news here on the west of back home, but I got the NBC4 app as well, so I get to see exactly what happens back home, and I noticed that when I watch the live feed on Twitter of Times Square and I see how fucking dead it is, I just can't believe. I honestly think it's a rerun, but it's not. It's live. It's like dead. And this is the summer. You know, like Times Square is normally jammed.
I had to go down to B&H Photo on 34th Street. So I said, let me get off on 34th. It was a Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, let me get off on 34th Street. Holy shit. I stood in the middle of 42nd Street, Broadway 7th Avenue, and took selfies of myself. Because there was no cars coming. And there were no people on the street. I walked down to in front of Macy's. I stood in the intersection in front of Macy's. Nobody. Penn Station, Macy's, everything. It's just crazy. It's like the Omega Man or one of those fucking movies and shit, you know, where like everybody on Earth is gone and you're the last ones living still and
shit. So whatever was hurting from New York, it's safe to say that COVID-19 wiped it out.
It put it on serious pause. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that like there in reality is going to be anything like what we had before.
It's
like, you know, I think that the reality is that we have to deal with what we have now. And so the way that we have to move is with what we have now.
Yeah.
And we have to make the best of what we have now.
Yep. And so, then there will be some people who simply will not come back.
Yeah.
That's it for them. They're of the age, they're like, I'm good.
Never come back out. There's going to be people that'll never not wear a mask. There's going to be people.
They won't hustle anymore. They won't salsa anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we're 100%, our livelihood and our business is 100% dependent on social interaction.
Yeah.
And even if they say, okay, it's open, no one's going to go running.
No.
They're going to like peek their heads in, see who shows, wait for the scouts to go out to get so they can get the 411 from them. Who showed up? Who didn't show up? How was the?
Yeah, I don't care who shows up, because you know what might happen to somebody might not be what happens to me.
Right.
You know. So yeah, that's just not a chance I'm willing to take myself.
Yeah, and being around strangers is the worst because you just don't know how they've handled themselves prior to them being around you.
But even people you know, you could feel like people you know.
But even people that you know.
No, that's true.
People that you trust.
You're not around them 24/7, so you don't know what little boo-boo they made in a bodega or whatever the case may be. And
yeah, yeah, it's a whole new world out there. But guys, I think we need to wrap up.
Okay, baby
doll. I love you guys. Thank you.
This was wonderful.
This was great.
Yo, man, I'm glad we got to hang a little bit,
and fun.
Likewise, Bobby.
And yeah, thank you so much for doing it.
If I ever get out to the West Coast, man, I'm gonna look you up.
Please come through. Sin's been to my residency, which is still around. The owner's phenomenal. He's fighting for it. So I don't think we're going anywhere too because he has he has a taco place that he runs, and they're open, so that's kind of holding him up.
That's
Yeah,
it,
so
man.
that's holding him up. So, and that's where I do my live streams for Twitch out of that
$2
venue.
Taco Tuesday.
And Sin's been there. We've actually have Funkbox at that venue, so we're gonna continue doing it. So
A week
once,
after I left.
yeah, so once this kind of clears up, Tony now has. I mean, he has a Bay Area home, so it's not going anywhere. So Funkbox can happen over here.
You know, I was just thinking, where you and me first met.
Where?
It was at that DJ contest that Nino threw in Bay Ridge.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Oh my God, we had to bring a mixer, right? I think somebody had to bring a mixer or something.
Oh man, it was me, you, Nino, and I think Master Kev that night.
Yes, yes, it was. We had CDs. We were playing CDs.
We were playing CDs and vinyl, man. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
Wow,
remember.
man.
Wow.
Oh my God, that had to be.
The owner was there and everything.
Right
He was
after
an
9/11.
Italian guy. The owner was Italian.
It was, you know how I remember it was right after 9/11 because I hadn't been down there yet, and my boy was driving me because I live in Washington Heights, so we were going on the BQE, and I remember it was like a misty kind of cold night, and you saw like this fog hanging over Ground Zero, and you saw the sparks of them cutting the metal in the fog, like, and everything was still mangled, and it was like,
I remember that party
like
too, because there was a lot of
2001. Yeah,
there was a lot of older people at that event, and they were older dancers, and I remember I killed the vibe, and they fucking hated me.
you were playing Uptempo Disco, I remember.
I was playing something, and they were like, "No, you killed it." They were like, "No, it's too black. It's too black. It's too black." He's not playing 54. He's playing garage. We don't play that here. They were Guidos. They were actually Italians. You know, Guidos didn't like us Hispanics. Bro.
No.
That's why they put a second in that movie, and then they gave us the trophy for first. Like, you're all right. I'll never forgive Saturday Night Fever, bro. I'll never forgive him.
Well, guys.
And my hustle crowd was there that night.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they was. Yeah. Thank you, Red.
Cynthia
Red, you're
Rose.
awesome. Red, you're
I
awesome.
love you.
You're awesome.
Red.
Yeah.
I am Red.
I'm Sin Rose.
I'm Mr. V. Oh, I was gonna do something else, but I can't do that.
I'm Mr. B.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, guys, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Love,
Everybody
always.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Likewise. Good night, guys.
All right.